when you believe their story and kind of what they go through, and you form some sort of attachment. You know, people don't realize they think every defense attorney it's just money.
Yeah, and I can honestly say this guy here has grown to be a friend of mine. You know what I mean? It started off, I just hired him just trying to stay out of prison, and then it became more than that. You know what I mean? We grew a bond. He believed in my story. He helped me every bit of the way. It wasn't a time where I felt like I couldn't trust him or he wasn't doing his job. I can honestly say I would recommend Roger Foley. That's just me. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it for any commercial purposes, but I do feel like he's a great lawyer. Honestly, he did his best. Hey, he kept me out of prison. That's all I can say.
I appreciate it, Stellan. Man, I wish you luck. I'm hoping that you're going to keep contact and kind of let me know what's going on with probation and everything's going smooth and that the kid's growing up. And hopefully you're working and able to keep your son out of a neighborhood that's going to make him feel that way that you felt, that, you know, that he doesn't need to grow up when he's 18 and get a firearm. And again, I'm not anti-firearm. I believe, right? You know, I believe that everyone has a right to a firearm. But what I find is that so many folks, if you have a firearm and you're involved in any kind of altercation, the person with the firearm is the one going down. And you never know what's going to happen. No defense attorney can give you a guarantee. So like you said, each week, each month, you don't know what's happened. All you can do is go through the process and do the work that's supposed to be done and hope that everything works out. Just tell the folks real quick, why did you decide not to go to trial on the case, knowing that, I mean, I know we explained it a little bit before, but just tell me why, what was your reason for opting to take the no contest Alford plea, plea of convenience, versus going to trial and letting 6 of your fellow citizens judge you?
The reason I decided to do that, I honestly did feel like I was innocent, but I felt, my friend John, who was a very best friend of mine, got missing. AWOL. You know what I mean? And we could have did where mandatory court appearance where the cops go out and get them, but I honestly feel like you're not finding him. You know what I mean? Him or his little brother, because John got strung out on drugs and he's gone. It's like trying to find a crackhead or something. Like, you're not gonna find them. If they're strung out somewhere in an alley or something, it's very hard to find them. You know what I mean? And I felt like with my chances, having someone, a witness that's on drugs come to my, you know what I'm saying? Even if he would have came, I still feel like he wasn't gonna be 100%. So I felt like this was the best option for me not losing, because if I lost, I would have been 3 to 5 years. So I just felt like this was the safest thing for me and my family, you know what I mean, to just take the plea.
And additionally, his little brother, because we don't know where he is, it's a little difficult to get the brother, and the mother of his child, even though the state's contacted her, I've contacted her.
Yeah, she was missing as well.
She just didn't seem willing to participate.
Yeah, and I honestly feel like they both were against me. I feel like at a point in time, they started avoiding trying to come in and try to help me. That's just me as a person. I just feel like that.
Well, I mean, when the case lasts a year and a half, and until the day of trial, we can't get anyone to show up after they've been subpoenaed, right? Yeah. And only the state attorney can get a couple of people in, and then even she still doesn't come in. She was the tie. If Tanisha would have came in and the state would have believed her and she said, hey, my little brother had a knife, we probably wouldn't be here. We would at least be a misdemeanor, or maybe the case would have gotten dismissed. I mean, it just depends on how she would have told her version. Obviously, if she would have come in and said, no, there was no knife, and defended her brother, well then, we may not have gotten this situation either, right? We may not have gotten the 5 years of probation with a withhold of adjudication.
Of course. And the crazy thing is, prior to all of this happening, I didn't know her family, which is her brother and her mother, but I did know of her a little bit. Like, I've been around her, you know what I mean? Not so much, but just because she was pregnant with my best friend's, you know what I'm saying, daughter. So it was more of, hey, how you doing? And that's about it. It's never went any farther than that. So, like I said, I don't know what's the point? What reason she had of not coming in and just doing the right thing? And I mean, we don't have any bad blood. We're not beefing. I just really didn't understand what was the issue with just doing the right thing.
And one of the most crazy things is that I know that the prosecutor, because I did it with the prosecutor in the room, when Steve, the alleged victim in the case, was in my office taking a depo, sitting exactly where you're sitting right now. I asked him, listen, nothing happened, you weren't harmed, obviously, and he admitted to beating up the minor. He admitted that the other kid was bleeding, that he had punched him, 12, 20 times in the face and in the body.
Why would you want to take pride in that?
But he was emphatic that I had the state at that point that if he would have said yes, that the state even asked him himself, are you okay with the state dropping it down to a misdemeanor and letting the guy take a gun class and get probation and maybe some anger management? And he was 100%, and he said no. And then when confronted about the Facebook text where he wrote an email to John asking for $1,000 in cash to help you out, once he didn't get the $1,000, he showed up, and when confronted with that under oath, he said it wasn't me, even though we were able to show him the Facebook account and all the information.
Your picture, all your information was there, but it's not you, which made no sense to me. But
so, there were a lot of positives in your case, but the hardest thing for me as an attorney is I can't guarantee the future. I can't see 3 or 4 days later in a trial what the jury's going to come back at. And if they come back guilty, then you're at a 3-year minimum mandatory.
I can't fault you for that. Like I said, you did the best that you could. And I feel like, hey, it's better than what was offered before, because back at first it was 1 year and 3 years on probation. 1 year in prison, 3 years on probation. And look where we are now. I'm not doing for jail time. I get to see my family. I'm not a troublemaker, which I know I'm not a troublemaker. So I know I'm able to do the 5 years or 2.5. Hopefully I get off early and with no issues. So I'm not stressing it too much.
So last thing, tell young men 18 to 25 years old, what should they or not should they do when they have a firearm?
I want to say don't carry your firearm. But if you do have a firearm, make sure you take your course and make sure you get your concealed weapon, and make sure that you pull it out only in life-threatening situations only. Don't pull it out for nothing else but that situation. But prior to that, just don't carry it at all. That's just my advice to you guys.
Stellan, thanks for sharing your story. You're okay with it, just so we're on the record.
Of course,
I'm going to take this video, edit it. I'm going to add some commentary to the law, use the transcripts, the police report, the discovery, and put all that into a package so I can distribute that to high school, college students, and make a video, like a YouTube video, so we can educate the public a little bit about the situation. God bless that. I mean, you're actually giving something positive back, even though the most positive thing didn't happen for you.
Of course, and I would love to that. Hopefully my kids will see it, 10, 15 years from now. I have 2 sons, so they could be sitting where I'm sitting, in a few years from now. So I would love to help younger men.
And who knows, if I start back lecturing at schools, I may even have you come in.
Hey, I'm always willing to come in, man.
All right, man. Stellan, thanks so much for taking the time, man. I'm glad that you're not in custody. I'm glad you're not a convicted felon. I always wish that I was better. I'm always going to pray that I get a little bit better on each case so I can help people,